Well, buckle up.
Back in the old time machine.
13th century. Texture, taste.
Very fishy.
Preservatives.
Cornish pasties.
Oh my god, I've never even thought of that. The themes of empire, mission, inheritance, and destiny.
Hello and welcome back to What the Food. This is the podcast that uncovers the history of the world through food. My name is Miles Dickinson, here with Andy Cantor and Dom Gray. And pull up a chair, get comfy, because this is Ducking Delicious, the crispy legacy of Peking Duck.
You swear in the intro, you mad guy.
I said ducking.
Cheeky little bugger.
You're right, Miles. Today we're diving into the crispy, caramelised, utterly delicious world of Peking Duck. A dish that's so iconic that it's been a royal indulgence, a diplomatic tool, and come on, how many times have you fought over that last pancake?
Oh God, it's that weird one, isn't it? Where it's like, does anybody want it? Is anyone having that? Yeah, I am. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Sure.
by asking if anybody wants it, you're basically announcing that you want it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going to
Also-
defy me and take it because I've just said I want it.
Yeah. But
But go
also by
ahead.
asking, you've kind of set yourself up to lose because you've given someone else that opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah, the biggest risks have the biggest rewards though, right?
maybe.
Here's a twist about Peking Duck.
Go on.
It didn't actually start in Peking, aka Beijing.
We're joking.
No,
Okay.
Didn't start there.
Liars.
No, yeah, this is it. It's a journey that takes us on a quest of culinary stardom that involves street vendors, emperors with questionable self-control when it comes to their duck eating habits, and some pretty cool ovens, which we're getting to some oven tech today.
Oh, I've been waiting to talk about fan, convection, Dutch,
This is
whatever
it.
you want, really.
Tandoor.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
We're going to go into it all today. We're going to get into the roasting techniques, the ducks themselves, because it can get a bit dark, this episode, in some places, because we're obviously talking about a lot of animals, specifically ducks, actually, funnily enough, being butchered. So to keep things lighthearted, I've listed a few duck facts in between
That's good.
the most critical bits, I suppose.
Just to
Lightheartedness.
right, okay.
Take the
To
edge off.
pepper in some
Yeah,
lightheartedness.
exactly.
Okay.
Just keep it nice and sweet, you know. So strap in, because by the end of this episode, not only will you know why Henry Kissinger once waxed poetic about Peking duck, but you'll also be ready to impress your mates with the tales of medieval Chinese street food down by the local pond.
Wow.
That's it. I mean, we're often down the park Saturday daytime into Saturday evening talking about historical food facts. It does happen. Yeah. So, you know.
Well, the other kind of use case for the knowledge that you'll gain from listening to this episode is probably when you're on the fairway. You know, when you've got a couple of ducks and you're having a chat with whoever you're playing with.
Yeah.
You know, hey Roger, I know more about ducks than you think I do.
Hey, Roger, watch this. I'm going to fucking hit that duck.
Hey, Roger, maybe you got some fucking pancakes in that golf bag
Watch this drive.
because we're eating. Oh, funny. Golf, eh? Shout out golf. Here's a fun fact to start us off. Back in the day, Beijing wasn't exactly a duck-friendly city.
No ducks allowed.
No ducks allowed. Strictly no ducks. If you were to drop in to the Ming Dynasty, into a Ming Dynasty banquet in the 15th century, chances are you'd find a table piled high with pork, chicken, lamb, but no ducks.
Wow. Okay.
Lamb in particular was the local favourite. It's bold flavours, good for hearty stews, perfect for kind of Beijing's cold winters. But ducks, nah.
No ducks. Wow. Because you'd imagine that with how highly sought after and how popular they are now with this cuisine, you'd imagine it was eaten by them. But no.
You'd imagine they were native. They were literally there in their flocks, living in the city. But no, they weren't. Ducking about. They were not. But down south, in the lush Jiangnan region, ducks were a big deal. There's going to be some great Chinese pronunciation in this episode. Obviously, being a native Mandarin speaker myself, Shay, I know
Just calm yourself there, sir.
Shay.
About the only word I know, but so within this region, you've got the city of Hangzhou, which is a city, you've probably seen it on various Instagram posts, kind of TripAdvisor forums, whatever, crisscrossed by super beautiful canals, surrounded by rice paddies. It's like a beautiful looking city, and you will have seen it on somewhere across the internet.
It's not like your futuristic
No.
Chinese
It's
city. It's your more kind of rural, traditional style city.
old school China with like canals running through this. It's kind of like Venice in a way, but instead of that kind of European architecture, it's more Chinese architecture.
Yeah.
Obviously. But because of all those canals, because of all the rice paddies, it's basically a duck paradise.
Duck City.
Yeah.
Duck City. Sweet life, Duck City. Fun fact. First fun fact about ducks.
Go on.
All ducks have highly waterproof feathers. You boys know that?
Makes sense. They do like the water, don't they?
Yeah.
And it isn't the saying, like water off a duck's back,
Duck's back, exactly.
for example.
Yeah. They are so waterproof, in fact, that when a duck dives underwater, the downy underlay of their feathers right next to the skin will stay completely dry.
So why are we messing around with Gore-Tex then, if that's on the radar?
So you want to wear ducks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you got that right. Yeah,
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
If it's that good, mate,
it's that good, mate.
make me a coat out of it.
Get some. Yeah, maybe.
How many ducks do you reckon you'd need to make a coat?
Quite a few.
For me, many.
How many geese do you think it takes to make a Canada Goose jacket?
That is a good question.
Yeah. I heard they were transitioning away from real duck feathers into
Fake news, mate.
fake ones.
You have to change the brand name. Canada Not Goose.
Yeah, Canada
Not
Goose.
Three's not that many, actually, I don't think.
Yeah, once you get all them together, it's a lot of feathers, I imagine.
Yeah. Going back to this city that we were talking about, there's a lot of ducks. What's it called again?
Hangzhou.
Now, they shit a lot, right? Is that city not covered in shit?
I imagine there is a good amount of shit in the city. Yeah. But also at the same time, there'll be a lot of human shit, I imagine, because flushing toilets probably weren't a thing in the 12th century in China. So shit was probably the least of the worries. Duck shit, probably the least of the worries, mate.
Yeah, it's basically just like gravel there, isn't it?
Between Mongols, the famine, the drought, the floods, just any other extreme weather, probably hailstones, big hailstones.
Yeah, it sounds a bit shit, actually.
Duck shit was probably the least of the worries.
Yeah.
But the birds themselves paddled about in the waterways, fattening themselves up, completely oblivious to their culinary fate.
Okay.
So in Hangzhou, people did eat ducks. Obviously, there's loads of ducks lying about. You're going to eat the fuckers, right? If you can catch them. Yeah. The classic kind of dish was a duck soup with dried bamboo shoots. Super nutritious, served in kind of like a large pot containing the duck, dried bamboo shoots, jinhua ham, which is kind of like a Chinese Iberico ham, which looks pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the dish. The duck itself, in order to preserve kind of the tenderness, it had to be less than 60 days old. A day older?
Right.
Nah, not good enough for this soup. I don't really know how they kept track of this.
I was going to say, can you tell that well with them?
I imagine
it sounded like there's a whole industry around ducks in this city. There's people on cleanup duty. There's people on counting the age each day of them, catching them for said soup.
Well, there's no come down with me. So there's now to watch, right? So they're probably counting ducks. Probably all you can do to pass the time.
Yeah,
yeah. I understand maybe eating ducks that are like on a farm out of the city, but these ducks are floating through the centre of the city. Yeah. I imagine they're eating like leftover other things that people are putting out. They're basically like this city's rats. And then you're telling us that they're making them into soup and eating them because there's loads of them around.
Yeah.
I don't know how clean and nice to eat these ducks are.
But they're not eating like leftover wagon wheels and like fruit winders. They're eating like leftover veg.
Wagon wheels and fruit winders. What a deep pull to get those.
How did you land on those?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, but it's two great examples of like, manufactured synthetic foods. Great. Although a duck with a purely fruit winder diet probably tastes quite
be sweet as fuck.
Yeah, it would be sweet, wouldn't it? Now we're talking.
Feed it just an orange fruit winder.
You wouldn't need an orange sauce. It comes with the sauce.
It's built in.
It's grown its own sauce.
So you've got a duck soup. very popular dish at the time. Over in Nanjing, which is a city which is very close, they were whipping up a salted duck dish, which still super famous to this day, local staple, kind of like the precursor to Peking duck in a way. It's like a tender kind of brined duck, just right little hint of saltiness. It doesn't look great, not gonna lie. If you Google a picture of it, looks a bit bland.
Stuff that's brined doesn't usually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, you're right, man. You're right.
Doesn't usually. Just nothing else.
Yeah, like a pickle's not sightly, is it?
No.
Although I don't agree with this whole business of daddy pickles. You know, this.
Oh, God, no. People are just getting weird with them now. Like, just appreciate a goddamn standard pickle.
These huge ones in those silvery.
You don't have to be like refrigerated and like.
Oh, no.
Don't sit well with me, that.
No, it can't be right.
Horrible. So, what year are we saying they're having this kind of food? What year are we on here?
So, we're probably around the 15th century.
15th century. Okay.
So
these are regular people that are eating this, just normal city dwellers.
These are normal city dwellers. Yeah, no emperors, no royalty or anything like that. They're just very much city dwellers.
Normal people food.
Normal men.
Just little duck eaters.
Well, the salted duck, salted Nanjing duck, spices and recipes kind of vary. Super simple approach. Rub pepper into the body of the duck. The duck is then cooked in a pot with kind of pickling liquid, cooked for like weirdly 1 to 2 hours in the summer, 4 hours in the winter. Not really sure why there's a differentiation.
Maybe the ovens aren't as kind of like well insulated as our modern ones.
They kind of cool off quicker.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like when I barbecue sometimes, depends on the outside temperature of the barbecue, how long I've got to cook something for. But that's interesting. So it'd be like double the time in the winter to slow cook this thing. And are they butchering it before it goes in? Is it going in as like pieces, or are they just fucking
in the pot?
They don't even get the head off. Just grab it and just throw it in the pot, ready to go.
Yeah.
No, they don't do that. They remove the feet and the wings, and then it goes in the pot. Once it's been in the pot for a few hours, depending on what season you're in, it's then hung to dry in kind of a well-ventilated area. And then when it's dry, it's then simmered again in water with ginger, onion, and some star anise, and then split into strips.
Yeah.
And eaten.
There's no modern recipe that asks you to hang up your meat nowadays.
No.
Have they got a hook? Where's this hook? Is it just outside the front door? They're just throwing it up there on that?
Yeah. Just
I've got a hanging basket hook at the front door here. I could probably throw something up on that.
Perfect.
We'll have a picture of that for the socials, please, mate.
Yeah. So I guess I could hang up something, really, if I wanted to.
Yeah. Just nice old cured meat or something. That's all.
Yeah.
But then it's dripping. It's been cooked for a few hours, so it's dripping.
Yeah.
I know you're hanging up too dry, but that's all dripping down and all that. I don't know. You're going to attract some rats there, aren't you? Probably.
Yeah, you can't get the Karcher out to pressure wash that off, can you? You're going to have to get get a bucket or something.
Although if you're in this city, it's not going to attract rats. It's just going to attract more duck.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's just fucking the cycle, man.
It's almost an investment in a way.
Now, somewhere along the way, roast duck emerged as a street food in Hangzhou. We're not exactly sure when and by whom it was first kind of created, but it kind of makes sense, right? People are kind of riffing off these different recipes. Maybe someone couldn't be arsed fucking sitting there in the winter for 4 hours.
It's a whole process.
Yeah, exactly. So they started to roast it instead. And sooner or later, vendors began to roam the streets, carrying it door to door, kind of like medieval Uber Eats, really, but just for roast duck. The dish was originally named Shao Yazi, and it was mentioned in the Complete Recipes for Dishes and Beverages manual in 1330, so we're going quite a bit back now, by Hu Sihu, who was an inspector of the Imperial Kitchen. Husihui. Hu Sihui.
He Suhai.
No, Hu.
Who? Sihui.
Nice, there you go. Brilliant. Sounds like I was in Duolingo then.
Yeah.
There you go.
1330, the recipe, nothing fancy. It's literally a duck roasted over an open flame. No frills, just good, hearty food.
Now, it's my favourite word, and you always laugh at me, but caramelisation. You get that with roasting. You don't get it with boiling, do you? So you're introducing some more flavour layering, some more flavour profiles here with the roasting.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
you know what's just occurred to me as well when you said caramelization? So ducks are obviously called mallards, right? And then when you caramelize and brown something, it's called the Maillard reaction.
Whoa.
Yeah, it is.
Very close. One letter away.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. Hui Si Hui, by the way, was one of the first people to discover and clearly describe deficiency diseases.
Wow.
Wow.
You look ill, bro.
Yeah.
You're deficient, brother. What are you about?
Well, fine. He also prescribed a vegetable soup to Buyantu Khan, who was the great grandson of Kublai Khan, that apparently cured his acute kidney pain in 3 months.
It could just sort itself out in 3 months.
He could have. But it also led to one of the emperor's spouses becoming pregnant.
Oh.
And he was
Intrigue.
grandly rewarded for both curing the acute kidney pain and it resulting in one of the spouses becoming pregnant. There you go.
Whoa.
A little 2 for 1. That's what we call that. A little twofer.
And he prescribed some vegetables
In the soup form. Yeah.
in soup form.
Hey, life was simple back then, you know?
I know. It's annoying.
Simple. You could just do shit like this, you know?
People were just there, just living life in the moment.
Here's a carrot.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, like...
It's a carrot, you deficient fool.
Yeah, and then some king gives you a castle and like 3 maids.
Exactly. And you just go, you look ill, mate, and you're known for fucking finding deficiency diseases.
Yeah. You just come up with one idea back then, and because it's so early in mankind, it's like you're the first person to come up with that idea, however simple that idea is. Chocolate is sweet. He's the founder of chocolate. It's sweet. He just said it is.
It's him.
He's got to be right.
Right.
Yeah. Spot on.
Well annoying.
Annoying.
Yeah, now you've got
Fuming.
Yeah, to be someone well known now, to come up with something and coined a term or whatever, to be the first of anything, it's hard work.
Fast forward to the early 1400s, the Yongle Emperor, the guy responsible for building Beijing's iconic Forbidden City, decided to move the capital to the north. Why did he do this? Well, it's kind of a long-ass story involving politics, power, and a little bit of like new city, new me kind of energy. I read a really good book on Chinese history relatively recently. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll put it in the show notes.
Proper memorable book.
I had some like fucking academic title. It was like the history of China in some years. No, it's called A Story of China, A Portrait of Civilization and Its People by Mr. Michael Wood. It's a very good book. Very good.
Nice.
He talks about this. I can't remember why he talks about or what he says about this bit, but it's interesting. Go and read it.
Probably one of the worst plugs for a book I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I've forgotten the name.
Couldn't remember the name. Not too sure what it was about or what he covered.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it.
Are you looking at?
Yeah.
That's a crazy plug, bro.
I'm sorry, guys. That's, if anything, that's going to do harm to his book sales. Can only apologise, Michael Wood.
He ripped his book apart.
But don't remember much of it. It's quite long.
It was quite long.
It's one of the ones where you get into it, you don't look at how many pages there are. And I was in too deep when I found out it was like 800 pages. I'm in it now. So...
Guess this is my life now.
Yeah. I was an expert on China for about 2 weeks and then I forgot it all.
Okay.
We should have done this episode then.
Yeah, you'd been so much more informed.
Yeah. But yeah, the emperor moved the capital from the south of China to the north, aka Beijing. And what do when you move an entire imperial court? You bring your favourite snacks with you, of course. Of course you do. Roast duck was one of these favourite snacks. It was one of the culinary treasures that hitched a ride north to Beijing.
Because it wasn't popular in the north at this point, was it, before this?
No.
We said before that it was this other city, this water city was in the south, wasn't it?
Spot on. Yeah, because aren't common in Beijing. It's kind of dry and arid up in the north of China. Right. Whereas in the south, it's kind of lush and green and like the canals and things like that. Once it arrives in Beijing chefs, kind of ever the innovators, started putting their own spin on the dish, as you would, They started to breed a new variety of duck, one with thin skin and snowy white feathers that was tailor-made for roasting.
Wow. Yeah, don't feed that one bread. That's not for that.
No.
It's that thing that we always talk about on the podcast as well, where it's like, royals and rich people are seen to do something, and then the kind of regular people follow suit. This emperor has moved his city up north, and he's brought with it this food that he eats, and everyone else is going to want a bit of that, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Look at him and his people eating this duck. God, we should get on this.
Exactly. But yeah, also another reason for this new breed of duck was obviously, if we remember, Hangzhou, super watery landscapes, the canals, whereas Beijing, dry northern plains. It's a fish out of water.
Guys, we need to create a duck that doesn't move very quickly. We need to stay in one place.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be waterproof anymore. Sack that off. Stop them quacking. Extra meat on the bone, extra fat. Make sure that they don't need any water ever, because it's proper arid round here.
Spot on. Yeah.
Go.
Boom. Just get that done with you. Fun fact.
That's how COVID-19 started.
Yeah.
And they changed the name of this city many years later to Wuhan.
You don't really hear about Wuhan now. I wonder how they're getting on there.
Yeah, well, they don't want to talk about it, do they?
Yeah, I think
they don't want people talking about Wuhan.
All cocked it, I think.
They probably get a lot of tourists, a lot of people trying to check out Ground Zero, right?
Dark tourism.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, they said it was from bat soup.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun fact number 2. Female ducks are called ducks and males are called drakes.
Drakes, that's it.
The Duck and Drake. It's the name of a pub I've heard before now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
So by the time the imperial kitchens of Beijing got their hands on this new, ready, custom-made duck, roast duck was well on its way to becoming Peking duck, which we know today. According to local history in Beijing, the earliest roast duck restaurant was the old Bianyi Fang restaurant, which opened in between 1522 and 1566. So long ass time ago. This restaurant is still open today.
Wow.
It's good going.
Very, very good going. Almost, over 500 years, potentially over 500 years old, this restaurant.
That's crazy, isn't it?
In one collection of old Beijing kind of rhymes and poems, one of the poems reads,
"Fill your plates with roast duck and suckling pig."
It later goes on to say,
"When an official gives a banquet, he will choose dishes to please each of his guests. For example, Bian Fang's roast duck."
Smashed it, Miles. Well done.
That was sick, bro. You hit that hard.
Bian Fang's roast duck.
Bian
Malagna.
Yeah. Right, okay. So that's supposed to be poetry, that.
Sounds better in Mandarin.
Yeah.
Because it's contemporary, so it would be around from the 16th century. But it goes to show like how renowned the roast duck was from Bianyifang, even in these early days.
Yeah, made it into a poem.
And suckling pig. Suckling. What is suckling?
It's little bubby, isn't it?
Is it the baby's
sucking on the titty?
Just a weird word to use, really.
Well,
baby pig, small pig.
Well, no,
pig,
because that all
infant pig.
upsets people. All of those words upset people. But suckling is far enough away from all of those without keeping the same meaning. Plus, it makes it sound like it's going to be real juicy, doesn't it?
Kind of does, doesn't it? Suckling.
Oh.
So like you're going to suckle on it.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
It's a pig for suckling on.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going to be first in line to suckle. Yeah, I get that.
And just like that, Peking duck found its place at the table, literally and figuratively.
When I do a bacon sarnie this weekend, I'm going to call it a suckling pig sarnie.
Joe's going to love that.
She'll love that.
She'll love it.
It'll make it taste even nicer, I think.
I agree.
Anyway, sorry about that.
But to really understand how it became the culinary masterpiece we know today, and also to understand like why it served the way it served and how they've managed to achieve the taste, the texture, all that sort of stuff, we need to talk about fire. Lots of fire, what we're going to talk about. We're going to dive into the roasting revolution that transformed this dish into a masterpiece.
When I used to live in London and went through Chinatown and you see the kind of roast ducks hanging up, there's nothing else that quite looks like that, is there? It's very unique in the way it looks and the way it smells and also the way it tastes. It's like nothing else like it. So it's interesting. I want to kind of find out why, because it's not an easy process, I imagine. You know, there's a lot of time that goes into preparing it in the traditional way. So why, Andy? Why? Why'd they do this?
Why? So Peking duck, very much the star of the show. But the roasting process is the script, the director, and the orchestra all rolled into one. That's what makes it tick over.
Crikey.
this is the way that the dish kind of evolved from a simple street food into a bit of into an imperial delicacy. It's all down to the magic of roasting. So let's go back to the early days. Super rustic. Picture a duck on a metal skewer held over an open flame. The person is slowly rotating it, like in one of those old-timey Western cartoons or a Bugs Bunny cartoon or whatever, where they're just slowly wheeling the meat. Exactly. Not exactly a fine art, all done by hand, all very laborious, annoying, right?
Have they got roasties, potatoes, any vegetables underneath, catching those juices as they drop and kind of cooking at the same time?
No taters. No, they're still in the Americas, I think, at this point.
Oh yeah, definitely not potatoes.
Yeah, they might have rice.
Yeah, but they're not cooking anything at the same time. It's just because I guess it's over a flame, isn't it? So that wouldn't quite work.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have your head down there, wouldn't you?
Yeah. If I can infuse that duck flavour with other vegetables, I will.
You'd be up for it. Yeah. No, I just meant your head would be down there underneath the duck.
Oh, right. On fire.
Yeah, but duck juice. You'd be getting that. Worth it.
Worth it.
So yeah, that's kind of a super rustic way, super early days, open flame, metal skewer. Things start to get a bit interesting in Nanjing, where chefs around the 15th to 16th century came up with a clever little invention called the menlu, which was basically a closed oven. So it wasn't kind of the run-of-the-mill pizza oven, although kind of achieved the same thing, like the temperature. They were able to get a super high temperature in there, which is exactly what you need for roasting duck. It's kind of like a square brick contraption with kind of openings on each side. Inside, a fire would burn down to its glowing embers, and the ducks were then kind of hung within the oven, soaking up that heat and the smoke.
Nice.
I hotboxed it, basically. The hotbox load of ducks. Yeah.
You hung them up. And kind of hanging stuff inside like a clay oven-y type situation. It's quite similar to the tandoor, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Skewered tandoori meat and things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Similar cooking method.
Yeah, for sure. It was a game changer, though. Suddenly you could roast multiple ducks at once, each with a kind of infused with like a deep kind of smoky flavour from all the wood. So,
because that's the other thing, isn't it? With those, you can put wood chippings in the bottom and kind of capture that wood smoke within that square box.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
But when the dish made its way finally to Beijing, chefs in the imperial kitchen decided to up the ante that little bit more. Enter the gualu, or hanging oven. This is what you know today as the primary method of roasting a Peking duck. Revelation. So instead of batch roasting, chefs could now kind of cook each duck individually, hanging them over kind of roaring flames and adjusting kind of the heat to perfection. So there's kind of like a rail, I suppose, along the top. And then you had like different heat levels along the rail. So if like one duck was getting too done, you could kind of move it around. You could basically you could batch roast ducks, but you could also attend to them individually to make sure that they all achieve the same level of well-doneness, crispiness. Yeah,
because I imagine in that previous oven, like once they're in there, the only other thing you're reaching in to do is to take them out. You're not kind of changing where they are in there and stuff. It's all a bit too confined, isn't it?
Yeah. They're also spinning as well.
Okay, like a little rotisserie style.
Yeah, like a pendulum. Taranjala.
Oh, so they are. They're going around like that, aren't they?
Yeah. So they're evenly done. Again, another benefit of this oven. When the other one, the old oven, you just hang it up and away you go. Job's worth.
Yeah.
But this one, spin.
They're quite a fatty meat, aren't they, ducks? I think that's where a lot of the flavour comes from, doesn't it? The kind of high fat content in the meat. I think you need to cook meat with high fat content in a specific way, because if you just kind of cook it, like absolutely obliterate it and do it, quick, you're not giving that fat in the meat time to render down properly, are you? It's going to be gristly and chewy. So maybe this new style of oven is also to help kind of slow down that cooking process a bit, to help give that fat enough time to render and become nice and juicy and permeate the meat, make it nice and tender.
No, for sure. I think that is spot on. Spot on.
Man knows his meat.
Man knows his meat. Man knows his meat. Within these new ovens, you obviously had people meticulously monitoring kind of each duck, making sure that if they needed to be moved to a different temperature, they were to be turned quicker, slower, whatever. And the result, skin that was crisp, caramelised, and meat that stayed tender and juicy.
Oh, lovely. Are they marinating it before hanging it to cook?
The next section we've got coming up is crafting the perfect duck. And we're going to go from start to finish.
Oh, God, come on.
Farm to table of the entire process.
Grab its head, cut it off, take it down shop.
Cut it off.
Pluck it quick. Twist their legs right off. Give them to dogs. Into shop, onto hook, rub with salt, rub with pepper, rub with Szechuan, set it off. Off it goes.
Away you go.
10 hours later, perfect.
Why did he become a Yorkshire lad halfway through?
I don't know. No idea.
Because we don't get cancelled, Dom, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. There's always the temptation with these episodes, isn't there? But we know that it's not right to do that.
By the time the Qing Dynasty rolled around, the Gualu oven had become the gold standard for Peking duck. It was essentially becoming, if it wasn't cooked in one of these ovens, it wasn't proper Peking duck. It wasn't roast duck. But it wasn't just about efficiency and the end result either. It was about the theatre. Like, imagine you're dining in an imperial palace and your duck is being roasted right before your eyes. Your skin is turning a perfect golden brown over kind of a fruitwood fire. It's luxury, right? It's luxury. Yeah. I've been in this scenario. Been in Beijing with my wife and a family. We've watched our duck be cooked and we've eaten said duck.
Wow, nice.
An emperor.
That's pretty cool.
The closest I've ever been is the second time I ever went to Joe's family's house. I've got a memory of her dad cooking some duck breasts with the skin on, and he had a hairdryer. And he was hairdrying the top of it to get it crispy. And
wow.
Yeah, I just remember it like it was yesterday. It was a mad
like
sight.
This was a core memory of yours.
Yeah.
Mate.
Yeah. Putting in the effort to give me a good bit of nosh, you know? Wielding his Babyliss Pro.
Beads
and he
of
was just
sweat.
going for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
that's the closest I've ever been. It was really nice, to be fair.
Does a hairdryer get hot enough to crisp duck skin?
When you're right on it, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was a good looking hairdryer. It was it was a big one.
Yeah.
Bet he's going to love that you've shared that story over the airwaves.
It was good. Tasted great. But yeah, you just had to get that final bit of moisture off the skin, you know?
You know, you've just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the closest I've been to that experience you were describing, Andy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds pretty close, to be fair.
It's about there. It's about there. Speaking of somebody else who loves duck, let's talk about the Zhanlong Emperor quickly. This guy loved his roast duck. I managed to dig out some records that showed that in 1761, he ate it 8 times in just 13 days.
Bloody hell, lad.
It's almost
That's a lot, that.
Roast duck every day. It's quite a lot in it.
Some days he's had it twice in one day.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, mad.
Busy man.
But then if you're an emperor, you're rich and you've got these amazing chefs that are at your beck and call, you're not just having duck, are you? You're having it prepared in the most beautiful way with the best ingredients. These chefs have come from far and wide because of their talent. And yeah, if I was him, I probably would have it. I'd probably have it more.
Why the hell not?
Why the hell not? Fun bit of trivia. Traditional Peking duck ovens were fueled with fruit wood, like peach wood, which gave the ducks a subtle kind of sweet aroma. It's a practice that some kind of high-end restaurants still use today, but gas ovens obviously have become way more popular or way more common, sorry. Yeah, I mean, gas probably does the job a little bit more efficiently, but fruit wood.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, there's got to be some Michelin-star restaurants in China that are doing it in the traditional way, maybe, you'd imagine.
Well, Kent Jin of the Grand Hyatts in Beijing's famous Made in China restaurant, he says that
the right temperature to cook Peking duck is 250 degrees to 260 degrees Celsius. Ducks roasted with fruit wood are able to absorb the special fruit flavour. Normally, chefs need to replenish the wood 5 to 6 times during the cooking process.
you can see why these gas, right? Because 5 to 6 times.
That's what I'm saying. It's not, not easy.
Yeah, and the range of temperature he's giving you is 250 to 260. 10 degrees is not much of a range. If it's dropping below or it's going above, it's going to get ruined.
Yeah, have you ever used a bit of peach wood, Miles, in your smoking escapades?
No, not peach wood. I've used apple wood, a bit of chicory. I've had some whiskey barrel ones before. Infused with that kind of whiskey smokiness.
Very nice. Did you find that it actually made a difference?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
They're all completely different. Some of them are like too pungent that you wouldn't do with like chicken or fish, for example, that kind of only work with your beef and your lamb. But yeah, it's quite fun though, isn't it? Like experimenting with different woods, different cooking methods and different woods.
Yeah, it's fun, yeah.
Why was that the least convincing? Yeah, cooking's fun. Yeah.
If you want.
Peachwood, the one you want to use for ducks. Anyway.
Yeah, never done peachwood. But I've also never smoked, a piece of duck. So maybe I need to get a piece of duck and some peachwood and have a go.
Maybe this summer we should roast some duck together down by the park in front of the other ducks and let them know that this is our park.
Coming in my house and this is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
This is our park. These are our hens, mate. What are you doing down here?
I wonder what local York ducks taste like.
Oh, I'd imagine greasy.
Very salty with no salt.
Yeah, although we do have this big long neck duck. Well, I think
he's dead, mate.
Yeah.
You know that they made a statue for him at the uni, and then they had to put it away because somebody vandalised it and tried to rob it. They tried to steal it.
So for the listeners, this was like a duck that was famous in York that went like viral on social media.
Yeah, he was called Long Boy
because he had a big long neck.
Yeah, well, he used to walk really tall and long.
And was he what kind of duck was he? It was just a regular duck.
It's just a mallard, just giving it some, I think.
It's a drake, I think. Yeah,
just a good old drakey boy.
Yeah,
should have cooked that. That'd have been nice.
No, I think somebody did. Yeah,
yeah. That's why he was never found.
Yeah, chop suey house down the road.
Yeah, local detective needs to find whoever bought Peachwood chips around that time.
Yes.
Now
some guy had a Weber grill under one arm. And he had some Peachwood over the other. and a
burlap sack wiggling about
over his back.
I think it might have been an officer.
Yeah.
Next steps. Let's craft the perfect duck. Because before the duck kind of even hits the oven, there's a whole process that involves air pumps, sugar syrup, and a level of attention to detail that would really make a Swiss watchmaker jealous.
It's not a midweek meal, this is it.
It's fucking not, lad. It's not. It's going to get deep. So this whole process essentially turns an ordinary bird into a masterpiece. Okay? It's not just cooking, it's artistry. And like any great art, it starts with the perfect canvas. You see, these ducks, it's not just Long Boy. It's not just any run-of-the-mill bird that you find flapping around a farm or a local park. None of that. Peking duck demands a specific breed, which we touched on earlier. Snowy white with the feathers, tender. Snowy white with the feathers.
Snowy white with the feathers. Tender. Snowy white with the feathers. Hank it up, snowy white with the feathers.
Why did I say it like that?
No idea, mate. What was going on there? Snowy white with the feathers.
Snowy white feathers, tender, and with just the right amount of fat to crisp up gloriously. These ducks, pampered like VIPs, kind of like foie gras in a way. The newly hatched ducks are kind of raised in a free-range environment for the first 45 days of their lives, and they are force-fed 4 times a day.
Wow, force-fed as well.
Yeah, not great.
It's crazy. What are they doing? They're like literally shoving like a pipe down its throat.
Get it down your gullet.
I don't think they're doing that. I don't think they're doing that. I think they're just forcing them into a feeding pen or something like that, or putting them in an environment where the only thing they can do is eat.
Right.
Because I think animals...
We covered this a little bit on the French cuisine episode, didn't we? That the French developed a lot of cooking techniques that took the process right back to the kind of rearing of the animal as well, in the way that you feed the animal from birth. And
Yep.
They were kind of one of the first, well, in Europe at least, that were thinking about what the end result on the plate was going to be right at that point of the animal being alive and being born. Sounds like they're doing a similar thing here in China.
Yeah.
With this.
100%. And what this does is it produces a duck that weighs between 5 and 7 kilograms, and at that point, it's ready to go. The force feeding of the ducks actually led to an alternative name for the animal, which is Peking stuffed duck.
No, because stuffed for me means that the final thing, like the cavity of it's stuffed, with like, I don't know, stuffing.
So once they're nice and plump, the preparation begins.
You hit that so nice.
I did. So these fattened up ducks, they're killed They're plucked, they're eviscerated, and they're rinsed through. I wanted to hit the eviscerated so hard that I fucked up the rinsed.
Debowling, so they're removing all the offal and things from the bird.
Yeah, and they are rinsing it thoroughly with water. Fun fact, just to get us through this quite dark phase, duck nostrils are see-through.
Wow. How
Really?
do they know that?
Well, they've had a look at them because you can see through like nostrils. I could see your nostrils from here.
Can you?
I can see yours from here, mate.
Okay, I mean, I like the fun fact, but I don't really get it. Because, like, what, you can see up their nostrils?
Well, they just see through. You can see through them out one side, through the other.
Oh, so there's no middle bit?
No.
I see.
They're like that lady from EastEnders that did too much cocaine. She lost the middle bit of her nose. Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Googling it. I really want to see these see-through nostrils.
God, I thought you said you really want to see a nose without a middle bit.
Oh, do you mean they've got like the little holes at the top?
Yeah. Yeah, the nostrils are see-through, yeah.
Yeah, they are. Bad looking things, aren't they, really? Ducks. They're kind of like, they'd be really nice looking birds if they didn't have that big fucking beak.
Wouldn't be a bird.
What the fuck was that line that you just said there, mate? What about the beak don't you like? The width?
Yeah.
Like wide beak, isn't it?
Yeah, the flatness and the largeness, the protrudingness of it.
So, we've got our ducks eviscerated. Next, the skin is separated from the meat using a pump.
Sorry?
Air is pumped under the skin to create air. So they use an air pump under the skin to create a layer.
How many bar are we talking?
PSI, I don't know the PSI. Sorry, mate.
What is even the point in doing this if you're not even going to research, bro? If you're not even going to do your research, what's the point?
Can I do this at the BP garage? Yes or no?
Yeah. You can take your duck to the fucking. Can you imagine
20p? I've already got 1 minute, Joe. Get this press over it now.
on a Saturday at like 9 a.m. There's fucking loads of people behind you waiting to use it, and you're just there with your duck press on.
Yeah. All 4 wheels and my duck.
What are you doing first, your wheels or your duck?
Duck, because I don't want the oil.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
That's fair. So yeah, they use this air pump to separate the layer, the skin from the meat, and it's kind of this layer of separation which gives the duck that famous kind of melt in your mouth crispiness. That's what.
Okay, I wonder what the science is here. Then is it creating like a pocket of air between the meat and the skin in that way, so that more kind of air and crispiness is happening?
Yeah, exactly. And the juices from the meat don't touch the skin or don't touch the skin as much so that the skin is able to get crispier.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because I think that's always the risk with this meat, isn't it? Because it's so fatty and it's going to create a lot of juices when cooked. That skin is going to be very prone to being quite wet and flappy if it's just resting against the meat. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense that they're kind of creating that separation, like you said.
Yep.
So that both things kind of cook in a different way and have like a different chemical reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So once it's got its separation from the skin and the meat, it's time for a nice little hot water bath before it's hung up to dry.
Little blanch.
A little blanch, yep. This blanch very much tightens the skin to give it that kind of taunt, glossy look.
I could do with the fucking blanch right now.
While it's hung up, could you do with hung up as well? Dry you out a little bit?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. While you're hung there,
it's never the answer.
We'll glaze you with a layer of syrup, which includes honey, and then we'll give you a rinse off one more time in water.
So you've just put loads of honey on me and then you've rinsed it all off straight after?
I've rinsed off the inside. So the honey's gone on the outside, and I've rinsed off the inside.
They're doing some mad shit with this bird, aren't they?
They are. Once the rinsing is done, a second layer of glaze, kind of marinade, is added. The marinade includes soy sauce, 5-spice powder, and some kind of more sugar, which it's actually like molasses type stuff, enhances the colour, but also helps create that kind of signature caramelised crust. We're not done yet. You're not ready to cook yet. It's got to be left to air dry for 24 hours.
Oh, so you can't just get home after a long day at work and be like, fucking hell, I fancy some Peking stuffed duck.
No.
Ooh, that's a whole day's worth of prep that we've just outlined there as well, before the 24 hours of drying.
Yep.
So you're already in 2 days at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of no different to pizza, though. Pizza dough, right?
Oh, no, I'll just go down to Tesco and get a ready one.
Yeah. No, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, it's the same.
You're right there, Dom, yeah.
No, you were right, and I was silly.
You're not removing the innards of a bit of wheat flour here.
No, I'm not eviscerating it.
No, there's no evisceration. Well, maybe that's why, that's what we're missing out on.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, this drying phase is critical because any lingering moisture is going to ruin that perfect Christmas. It's going to fuck you up. 24 hours have passed. Voila, you're ready to roast. You're roasting for between 30 and 40 minutes at a temperature of around 270. 270 is what you want to go for. So not even that long a time, really, to cook this bird, 40 minutes tops.
That's degrees Celsius, is it?
Degrees Celsius, so fucking hot.
That's very hot, that, isn't it?
Very hot. Very hot. It's quite a delicate bird, isn't it? It's quite a small bird. Doesn't need much to cook it well. And you can eat it pink as well, can't you? Sometimes they get a big pole out and use it to dangle the ducks closer to the fire for kind of 30 seconds intervals, just to get it a bit more.
Hook a duck.
Hook a duck, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, if they went to like a carnival, they'd absolutely lick up these chefs, wouldn't they?
Oh my God, yeah. Everyone
Doing this all my life.
50 quid a ticket. Taking home a big Peking Duck with you. Getting on teacups with it.
Grease is going everywhere.
Yeah, great idea.
So 40 minutes is done. The duck emerges from the oven. It's a work of art. We're not done showing off yet. We've got more to show off. Enter the pianya dao, which is a special duck slicing knife. Not your average blade. This bad boy is long, thin, razor sharp, and it's designed to carve the duck into 120 pieces with the precision of a surgeon.
Wow.
I've had this again in Beijing. They wheel out a little trolley with the full cooked Peking duck straight from the oven on it. The chef greets you, bows to you, pulls out his pianya dao and begins to slowly slice the duck in front of you.
So he's just taking it easy. He's not like real fast.
No, it's not fruit ninja, mate.
I think you should try that. I think it'd be cool.
And they know that you kind of reap exactly that number of pieces from.
Yeah, there's like not agreed about. There's like a set amount of pieces that you should be able to get from each duck, and it's 120.
Yeah. Wow. So they're obviously butchering it or slicing it when it's finished in the same way to get that amount of pieces.
Exactly. And the kind of service of it is split into 3 stages. So the first is the slices of duck skin that are kind of served with sugar and a sweet bean sauce as like a dip. This is the first phase. So this is the dish that will get put on your table first once the chef has finished that phase of the carving. This is the best bit. This is the piece de resistance. The duck skin's kind of, hot and crispy. It's the best bit. Probably one of my core memories of my time in China. That damn skin.
Wow.
It's great. Then the next bit is the ritual of the kind of rolling up of the meat and the skin with kind of all the trimmings. This is where your thin pancakes come into it. Your tianmian sauce, your cucumber, and your leek. Every bit, perfect balance, crispy, savoury, super refreshing.
So we're not having spring onions and cucumber here, are we? That's a bit of a bastardisation, is it?
Cucumber gets a feature, but it's usually leek, from what I found in China.
And that sauce you mentioned, is that hoisin? Type of hoisin?
It's not hoisin sauce. It's
is it not?
Yeah, tianman is a thick kind of dark brown. It's quite similar, but it's a thick kind of dark brown fermented sauce made from wheat flour, sugar, and salt. Comes from northern China, whereas hoisin is kind of a fermented soybean paste-based sauce, which is from Canton and Cantonese cuisine. So it's slightly different, and the authentic sauce is tianmian sauce.
Right, okay. Because hoisin's got plums in it, hasn't it? Is it a plum sauce?
Yeah, I think so. I want to say so.
I think it does, yeah.
I think that's one of its core flavours, I think.
I think, actually, I don't think it is,
Yeah, it's actually not. It complements.
Just soybean, right? I think you can get hoisin plum sauce.
Yeah.
Maybe, I think it's just fermented soybean.
Yeah. If you...
Oh, so plum sauce might just be plum sauce then.
Plum sauce.
That's just something else.
Yeah.
Complements plum is what I'm saying.
But why pancakes? Why pancakes though? Well, I managed to find a lovely quote from the chefs at Aman Summer Palace in Beijing, and this is their reason why pancakes are featured.
The reason the duck is served with pancakes and sliced scallions was because of the then influence of China's northern nationalities.
Mongolians.
Okay.
Goddamn Mongolians. Yeah, maybe. Could be.
So they were banging into their pancakes then, were they?
Banging
That's
into
the influence that's kind of filtered down.
I mean, they're basically wraps, aren't they? Let's not call them pancakes. They're basically like a little tortilla wrap, basically. Obviously, they're not made with the same stuff, but, you know.
I mean, they're perfect, aren't they, for it? Because, you know, they're not strong in their own flavour. They've got a very subtle flavour, but it's just like a really soft vessel to wrap up those really nice ingredients together into a bite.
Definitely.
Never give you enough.
They never give you enough. And they're like the cheapest thing as well, the pancake.
I know.
Yeah, you would have thought.
If you want me to get through all the meat that you've served me with this amount of pancakes, it's going to be a bloodbath. I'm going to have to put so much meat on each pancake. It's going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be hard work. You have to make quesadillas.
You're making quesadillas at that point.
Yeah.
Enchiladas.
So once you've had your first course, your second course, you've then got the third, which is basically any leftover meat is then stir-fried with bean sprouts while the bones are boiled in a rich kind of broth with kind of winter melon or Chinese cabbage. And that is kind of the third stage of it. So you get your crispy skin in the beginning, your meaty side of things with the pancakes for the middle, and then you get your stir-fried bean sprouts and the remaining meat, and then like a wintry kind of brothy type soup as well.
Nice.
Wow.
So it's all getting used up. There's no waste.
No, nothing goes to waste. If you want as well, you don't want to eat it there, you just want the first two, you can easily have it packed up and take home as well.
There you have it.
Oh, that's good.
There you have it. But yeah,
Delicious.
symphony of flavours, textures, techniques, all working together to create a really kind of iconic dish. But it didn't just stay in Beijing. It spread across the world from imperial palaces to international politics. So on this last section, we're going to take this little crispy, caramelised wonder beyond the borders of Beijing, because it didn't just stay there. You know, it flew across the oceans and into the history books of global cuisine. So back in 1970, Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai realised that a perfectly roasted Peking duck was more than just a meal. It was a cultural flex. So during Henry Kissinger's, who was the former United States Secretary of State. United States Secretary of State. What a mouthful. I've not got a better word for that.
How many people have struggled with that sentence before?
I know. He visited China in 1971, and the year after, President Nixon in 1972 also arrived in China.
What is this shit?
Well, that's what he was like originally, actually. He did not like Chinese food. The idea of it freaked him out, President Nixon, I mean. And I think the reports are that he was quite apprehensive going into this meal. But obviously, Peking duck was served. And it wasn't just served, it was celebrated.
Nice. He liked it.
He liked it. He loved it. After the meal, famously declared that it was one of the best meals he'd ever had.
Yeah.
Wow.
High praise.
Yeah.
High praise from the President of the United States of America.
That's crazy. I mean, there's been a few times on the pod where we've talked about foods that have had American presidents visit, and they've kind of put on a big welcome party and presented like their country's national dish. I think it happened with Barack Obama. I think he went to Japan and had some sushi at a sushi restaurant once as well. And
yeah,
that was talked about quite a lot. And I think it happened a few other times.
Gyro, Dreams of Sushi, the Michelin-starred one in the subway. He went there, didn't he? I think.
Yeah. There's been a few others, but it's interesting, isn't it, that like a lot of countries really want to impress these American presidents when they come to visit, don't they?
Well, yeah, I think this was about like the political elite in China were trying to impress the Americans and build that relationship up, right? They were trying to kind of show off as well at the same time by showing off how cultured the Chinese kind of world was.
We've got mountains and mountains of cheap plastic and electronic goods that we'd love to sell for the next 30, 40 years to your country. Please come and have some of our Peking duck.
Have some duck. Well, the impact of Nixon's review can't be understated. Susan C., co-owner of Chicago's Dragon Inn, is quoted as saying,
"When we opened, I couldn't give away a Peking duck. And then President Nixon went to China. He's been the greatest salesman for Peking duck. Now many people want it."
Influencer. Literally an influencer.
Yeah. He's changed the discourse on Peking duck in America.
Yes. And from that moment on, Peking duck became China's culinary ambassador. It wasn't just food. It was a statement about tradition, about refinement, about just how good something can taste when you give it 600 years of practice. But here's where it gets a little interesting. So while Beijing was kind of perfecting the gulao ovens and the art of slicing, the rest of the world was starting to do its own thing. Take London, for instance, where kind of Chinese restaurants put a spin on the classic with crispy duck. Yeah.
I was going to say, when you were describing this kind of traditional method of making it, it's nothing like what we get in the Chinese restaurants over here.
No. That's way too
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, exactly. And it's not prepared in the same way. I'm fairly sure the pieces of duck that we have here, that the whole thing's just deep fried, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
I mean, it tastes great in its own right, but it's not as elevated in any way in the same category as this kind of traditional way of having it.
No, for sure. What they do for crispy duck is instead of roasting the whole bird, they steam it.
Right, okay.
So they steam it first to cook it, and then they deep fry it, shred the meat into pieces. Bob's your uncle. Pancakes, scallions, whatever else.
Yeah, it's like a cheat way to get a similar-ish way as possible. Like you said, you steam it, so you're getting it cooked throughout, and the meat's quite tender by steaming it. But then you're going to be left with all that kind of soggy skin on the outer, and then deep fry that shit in hot oil, sorts out that outer layer, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah,
still tastes good. But it's its own thing, isn't it? You can't. It's not. Yeah, it's not the same thing.
It still is good, but once you've had proper Peking duck, you can't. It's difficult to go back, I think.
Yeah.
Still delicious.
Pissed up on a Friday night after you've been in Spoons, all you want is a bit of Peking fucking duck on a way home.
Exactly.
Speaking from experience there, Milo.
No.
No.
That's not me.
So that's crispy duck. In high-end kitchens around the globe, you've got kind of chefs, as they usually do, reimagining Peking duck with some modern twists. You'll find versions with foie gras, mango salsa, truffle-infused pancakes, because everything's got to have fucking truffle in it.
Truffle.
I imagine it's quite nice, but truffle's quite strong, and I feel like
it's a bit strong. Yeah, I think that'll fuck you up, in my opinion.
Yeah. I feel like, 5 years ago or around that time, there was like a period of a couple of years where everything was truffle. It was like the buzzword in food, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then like everyone was putting truffle oil on everything, and it was like synthetic truffle flavouring rather than, it wasn't.
Actual truffles, yeah.
You know, purists might roll their eyes at all these new renditions, but, it's keeping the dish alive, keeping it relevant, bit of culinary flair, culinary experimentation. Well,
Yeah, get for it, I say.
Yeah, go for it. Commercial side of things, you got Huan Jude and the legendary Bian Yifang, two of the most famous duck restaurants in Beijing. These guys have both become global brands. Like we said when we first mentioned Bian Yifang, it's been open for almost 500 years or over 500 years. It's launched a line of vacuum-packed ducks, so you can take kind of a taste of Beijing home with you.
Didn't know where you were going with vacuum for a second. I was like, how have they got into the business of fucking vacuum cleaners as well as
blow air.
Yeah.
Now they're sucking it in.
Yeah. And it's continuing to evolve, right? Some historians and some kind of purists aren't happy with these modern iterations. They bemoan the loss of tradition, arguing that these gas ovens and kind of mass production are taking away from what the dish actually was meant to be, and the tradition of the fruit wood fires. But it's a dish that's adapted and travelled before, and it's going to continue to adapt and travel to this day. And I think it will still maintain the essence that it's got.
I bemoan how boring they are. Let's try new things. You never know. They might figure out something that makes it even better.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily mean that these new things are attack on the old way of doing it. There's always going to be people that are going to make it in that old way. I mean, it's taken, like you said, 500 years to get to this point. It's a tried and tested method of making it. It's not going to go anywhere, even if these new fancy chefs in their fancy restaurants are trying new things.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not an attack. Don't worry.
No, it's not. It's not. What it represents, innovation, artistry, and a deep connection to history. Whether it's served in a Beijing banquet hall or a Manchester takeaway or a Michelin-starred restaurant, Peking duck carries its legacy with every crispy bite.
Nice.
You flop at the wing.
I mean, there was another episode where we were talking a while ago about Peking duck. It came up in conversation and we were trying to figure out like the reason why duck is just so like more widely eaten in China than it is in the UK. And I remember like as a joke, I think we said something like, it's probably because they've got more ponds over there or something like that. But like, there's actually a bit of truth to that, having delved into it in more detail in this episode, because, the birth of Peking duck was in that, southern city that was
full of ponds.
full of ponds, full of canals, lots of ducks, and that's where it was birthed, and then it kind of grew and grew and grew, and now we've got Peking duck where it is today. So
Exactly. Yeah.
it's the fucking ponds, bro.
There you have it.
There we go, Peking duck.
I thought for a second you were going to just pull in from off screen. For the entire episode, I've been sitting here waiting, and I, for one, am ready.
On a hook. Yeah, on a hook.
Could you imagine?
Oh, dear.
Oh,
Funny.
No.
Was there any fun facts that we didn't get to, or did you use all of your fun facts?
Yeah, I did have one more actually. Ducks have toenails on their feet.
Wow.
Yeah, and even though their feet are webbed, they can actually scratch you if you don't handle them carefully.
Okay, so
Really?
be careful with the duck when you're wringing its neck, ready to roast it. I'm surprised that you didn't do the classic fun fact about ducks, that they have corkscrew-shaped penises.
Yeah, I heard
And
this.
female ducks. Sorry, that's for drakes. And then for ducks, they have multiple false vaginas because rape is rampant in the duck verse.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't feel
Fun.
too bad about killing them anymore. I feel like they kind of deserve it after that.
Yeah, exactly. If they're not heard of consent, for fuck's sake, you're getting in my rap.
Peking duck. There we have it.
Yeah.
I mean, are there many places in Leeds and York that we can get our hands on authentic Peking duck, or is that going to be difficult?
I've had it before at a place called Red Chili in York.
Okay. Any good compared to authentic?
Yeah,
stuff?
I mean, it's never going to be the same, but it was good. It was a good experience, probably the best UK-based experience I've had. Next time you're here, I'll take you.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah,
take
maybe
me too?
No, you're always there.
You're always here. There we go. Peking duck, everybody.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. Thank you for sticking with us to the end. We hope you like that. Yeah, you can follow us on socials. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We're posting clips of the show on there and different bits and bobs. Feel free to give us a rating and a like on wherever you listen to the podcast. That really helps get the word out and helps us show up on other people's feeds. So that's if you could do that for us, that'd be absolutely amazing. And if you want to chat and say hello, you can email in at whatthefoodpodcast@gmail.com. Come and say hello or recommend a dish for us to look at, and we can do that. And I think that's it. Yeah.
What's next on the menu?
Yeah, what's
What's
next?
next time? Oh, shit.
Yeah, here we go. We're diving into the larger-than-life eating habits of a man who didn't just revolutionise music. He also treated sandwiches like a competitive sport. Next time, we're talking about Elvis Presley.
God. Oh, can I get another hound dog? Can I get another hamburger? And a fucking hot dog with that?
We're ready to go. Might even record it now. Fuck it. Back to back. Let's
Yeah,
go.
fuck it. We're back
Straight
in.
I'm buzzing for this. I'm well excited
Yeah,
because,
big good one.
I mean, Elvis Presley, what a character to lift the mask off of.
Oh, my nana used to love him.
Oh,
Yeah, well, there's going to be some funny stories, some crazy stories, also some kind of like sensitive stories as well, because he had a bit of a hard time and a bit of a difficult relationship with food, so we're going to cover some of that. But yeah, this guy, crazy stories, absolutely crazy. I've been reading various books. A book about memoirs from one of his personal chefs. Yeah, crazy.
whoa.
Crazy. So join us next time for that one. It's going to be good.
Oh, brilliant. Bring your big collars and your opened-chested shirts with tassels, because
Jumpsuits.
we're going in on this.
Oh, yeah.
Right, we'll love you and leave you there. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you soon for the next episode. Cheers, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.